Hey Matthias, do you know that to afford my first flat screen TV, I had to work an entire month in a warehouse actually?
No, I didn't know it, but I guess it's a couple of years back before I met you.
Yeah, that's true. And today you see them all over the place.
That's also true. So, our big question is, will this also hold true for mobile robots? And that's why we decided to record this episode on the question, will mobile robots get cheaper?
Automation Awakenings, your weekly dose of best practices for logistics automation.
Welcome to episode 21 of our Automation Awakenings podcast. And today we're gonna look into prices. And are mobile robots getting cheaper and cheaper as we all perceive it at the moment? But is this really true? Is this happening already since a longer time? And what are the reasons behind this trend? And I'm happy to welcome my colleague Matthias Pluczynski here in our studio. And together we will investigate the price topic today.
Exactly, at least we're going to try to do so out of our experience in the mobile robots sector. And I fully agree that to predict the future, in most of the cases, it's just best to look back to the past and see how prices have developed there. So, um, Aldi is our AGV and AMR expert. Yeah, really interested, Olli. How do you perceive it? How did the prices develop in the last years? And what can we predict for the future of mobile robots pricing out of your analysis?
Yeah, well, the trend is very clear. If you look into the past couple of years, we see the prices for mobile robots hardware decreasing.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is very uh, clearly visible. For me, the question is now, what are the reasons behind it, and how will the future look like? Will this trend continue, or are there factors which might even increase the price?
Yeah.
So, what is your first thought when thinking about these hardware prices? Why actually are they getting cheaper and cheaper?
Yeah, and in most of the cases, and that's also true with other products, the reason is that more and more vendors are joining the market, which then, of course, leads to a price decrease since there is more competition on the market. So I would guess that's probably one of the reasons why they're getting cheaper. But then there is also technology advancement, for example, that is adding its part to lower prices. And otherwise, I think that also, um, advancements in development and research are contributing a lot.
Yes, I think you already gave a good overview. Maybe we can jump into some of these topics with some more details. For example, thinking about the components of a mobile
Yeah,
robot, there you will find a lot of little engines.
yeah,
Yeah, and these are not yeah especially made for mobile robots nowadays.
yeah,
You can buy these type of components, and they are made for all kinds of devices.
mm,
So these the suppliers can produce them in a high volume,
yeah,
and of course then the prices are dropping.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I think in one of our first episodes, we also discussed a little bit about how um, electrification in general is also contributing to lower prices in
Mhm.
the mobile robots sector, right? Remember, we've been talking about EVs, electric vehicles, and
Yeah.
how battery technology and all of at least that part is contributing to the mobile robots industry.
Yeah, for sure it's profiting, because you can use these components as well there, and things like little displays, yeah, lifting devices,
Yeah.
little motors, all that stuff became a commodity.
Mm. I guess same also goes for sensors, lasers, navigation technology. Um, what is your take there?
Yeah, that's partly true, but still, if you would like to
Hmm.
buy a CE certified LiDAR sensor, for
Yeah.
example, there are not yet so many suppliers available.
Okay.
So
Okay.
here,
Mm.
um, we don't see this price drop yet, but of course, there are suppliers developing their own sensors, and this is already a good reason why I think that mobile robots prices will fall further, will
Mm.
be reduced further, especially because of these LiDAR sensors. I think there will be much more competition in the future.
So for the localization and navigation technology.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
And you can use other types of technology for navigation and
Okay.
localization,
Yeah.
like the camera. Yeah, some years back, you needed a very highly sophisticated camera
Yes.
in
Yeah.
such systems.
Yeah.
Today, they are, experiments, or yeah, you can try out even cheaper devices,
Mm.
really standard cameras. And I mean, we all know how well the cameras are now working in your smartphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are pretty good, and
Totally.
the smartphones are also not so expensive. So you can use much cheaper cameras, for example, for the video slam
Mm.
navigation. And I see here also different philosophies. There are suppliers who say, I would like to use cheap cameras with a smart software, and the device this should be enough.
Yeah.
And others say, okay, well, cameras are not yet ready for that. I need this 2D, 3D slam. And
Understood.
yeah, there are two streams, I would say. But anyway, it will get cheaper.
Okay. Okay. Actually, I would like to challenge this a little bit.
Good.
Because when preparing for the episodes, I actually mm, um, I found out that our colleagues from STIQ, who do the AGV and AMR market report, have interviewed a lot of people, a lot of suppliers, a lot of customers, and obviously in the last year, prices have increased actually of mobile robots, and the increase was somewhere between 10 and 30%, depending on what device we're talking about. But more expensive components was mentioned as a reason. Another one was inflation, which of course it's clear, it's out of scope, I would say. But in the end, apparently components also increased a lot for certain functions in the mobile robot. Did you perceive that somewhere?
Yeah, well, I think, from my point of view at least,
Yeah.
this is only a temporary effect.
Okay.
Yeah, this might be due to a lack of some, let's say, components of the components.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this will be not the case in the next years anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's true, but I feel that this was also like artificially, built up
Mm,
to sell the stuff at a higher price. But will not last long.
okay. No, totally valid points. I'm just simply poking you a little bit to see on whether we can extract some nice content for our listeners, and I think this makes a lot of sense. And we shouldn't forget that Corona and supply chain disruptions might have still had a certain influence on some of the industries that are delivering those components. And maybe that was one of the reasons why the components were still more expensive last year.
Yes, sure. I mean, we can discuss, and you need to challenge it. I don't know everything, and I'm happy to hear all kinds of opinions here. Um, I have my special picture, let's say like that.
Yeah, perfect. So let's uncover as much of this picture as possible to the listeners. So maybe when looking into the future, I mean, we've been discussing about the past now a lot. When moving towards the future, what developments do you see in terms of prices? Are you confident the prices will continue to drop, or are there maybe some reasons to claim that the prices will even increase?
Yeah, well, there is a very strong point, which is basic economy, what we touched upon in our last episode, that there are several studies predicting a higher demand for mobile robots in the future. If you remember, we were talking about 10 to 15, maybe 20%, yeah, market increase per year, and together with a higher demand, prices will decrease. Yeah, that's basic economy.
Yeah.
At the end, you need more, you produce more, then you are, yeah, you have the possibilities to produce it in a cheaper way. And I mean, it's clear that the third, fifth, 10th robot will be cheaper.
Yeah. Plus, I think that this market development is going to also attract new players to join the market, to join the party, to try to grab their share of the cake, their piece of the cake. And this is actually already happening in China at the moment. If you trust the reports that you read, and again, here I'm going to reference to STIQ, really great report, guys. Go and check it out. But based on their research, the competition in the mobile robots industry in China is extremely high. It's a mere price fight at the moment that is going on there. And that's why many Chinese vendors or suppliers are now really pushing their strategy to move globally, to provide their products in other parts of the world, with the biggest markets outside of China being Japan, the European Union, and the US. So we're going to see a lot of new players entering also those other markets, bringing in really high volumes in most of the cases, and by doing that, most probably, influencing the price to continue to fall.
Yes, that's a very interesting topic, and I think we could spend at least one episode on it. How will the developments in China impact the overall mobile robots business? And yeah, if we see the numbers of sales in China, and if we just think, imagine they get this running also in other parts of the world, if they get proper certificates,
Yeah.
yeah, they comply to standards and norms with their special prices, this yeah will boost the mobile robots business in total and would lead to much lower prices for sure.
Maybe let's provide our readers a little bit of a comparison. What does a major Chinese mobile robot vendor produce in terms of mobile robots per year, and what does a major, say, German provider produce? Do you have some figures, Oli?
Yeah, I mean, of course it depends, but let's say a usual European provider will manufacture, and already here I need to use the word manufacture because usually these are
Yes.
still manual manufacturers of mobile robots, around 100 to 200, 300 robots per year.
Yeah.
This is already good, I would say. Maybe the maximum is somewhere around 400 or so, at least what I learned up till now.
Yeah.
And if you compare it to Chinese companies, we are talking about hundred thousands of
Mm,
robots. I
wow.
mean, this includes also very simple
Yeah.
underwriters for goods to person solutions, which are navigating by vision QR code.
E-commerce
Um,
mobile robots, basically, right?
exactly. But yeah, if you hear these numbers, of course, the comparison is crazy.
Mm.
Yeah. And also price wise, we can make this comparison. Yeah. You can at the moment say for one European AGV AMR, you will get 4 Chinese ones in
Hmm.
China,
In
but
China,
in
yeah.
China without certificates and so
Yes.
on,
Yeah.
or 2 in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's already I would say that's a statement. It's a price statement.
Yes. I mean, there are many things to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want to dive too deep here because not the topic of our podcast today. But still, yeah, you need to consider service, maintenance, spare
Yeah.
parts, all this stuff. But in terms of hardware price, this is the rough estimation and comparison.
Mm. Yeah. So already here, quite some decrease that you can see, which is boosted by this new market entries that are actually becoming more and more. And from my point of view, there is another driver for potential cost reduction, and that's basically evolving around the VDA 5050 standard or other master control fleet management systems who are now basically sourcing in all of the traffic management and pretty often also intelligent order management into this master control software and causing that the, let's say, fleet management software is not an USP anymore for the individual mobile robot provider. So my take at the moment is still that we have some premium brands that really have great native fleet management software that they bring with the robot. But I think that this will really decrease as a USP. So
Hmm.
with more and more capability and more functions being moved away from the native fleet manager of each and every provider into some overlaying master control system, the mobile robots provider will be degraded basically to mere hardware suppliers. So they won't be able to put an extra margin basically onto their product because they have a great software.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. So you see that in the future, the hardware providers will be, yeah, simple hardware providers after being onboarded already into VDA 5050 based fleet managers. I mean, this is also an initial effort which needs to be taken
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
but these efforts will be done after some time.
yeah,
I mean, more or less, the main suppliers will be at a certain point of time
yeah,
onboarded to all kinds of fleet managers which are
yeah,
available out there.
yeah.
And then this initial effort is already done. And then you can just add further devices, right?
The way it looks at the moment, this is the road the industry will take. I think it's a very logic road because it moves towards standardization and interoperability of different AGVs or AMRs on the shop floor, which, by the way, is highly required. So we also had an episode on that. Gonna link it in the description if you want to learn more about it. But coming back to the topic, I think that this is actually going to be a quite big impact. And The only way to escape from this would be to become a provider, a AGV provider or mobile robots provider that has all different kinds of robots in the portfolio, so you can cover all, let's say 90% of the use cases at customers, so they can go ahead and just buy these robots from this one company. In this scenario, this company stays in charge of also the fleet management topic, would still have its own software to orchestrate those different types of robots they provided, and they could still use this as a USB. I don't want to exclude this as an option, but I think it's going to be very, very hard for any supplier to get into this position, because also the customers will try to diversify simply for price and purchasing reasons.
Yes, understood. That means if we now look back, we were talking about hardware prices. Now we have influencing factors from the software side. And then we should not forget the third pillar, what you have to pay when implementing a mobile robot. And these are project and integration costs.
Yeah.
And here I see a clear learning curve effect, at least for sure on the supplier side. Yeah, so with the second project in one company, the supplier will already know much better how to implement it. And the second stream is that customers can do more and more. Yeah, they can take over parts of the integration, or at least in the in scaling
Yeah.
fleets. Yeah, and this also leads to decreased, let's say, overhead costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like project integration, training, stuff like that. And this is a simple learning curve effect.
Yeah, I agree. I totally go along with this argument. I think that that's something we mentioned in our last podcast, episode 20, that probably one of the factors to become a successful mobile robot provider will be to provide a easy to scale solution, so to say, that the customers can deploy themselves to a high extent. And this is going to, of course, decrease the price for getting a mobile robots onto the shop floor and pay it basically externally, by also covering the integration costs.
Yes, actually, we like these comparisons with other businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what comes into my mind now is all the smart home business. Yeah, you can also talk about integration costs there, and what happened and why smart home is getting so popular now is because actually all the integration part is done by the end customer. Yeah, and this was not
Yeah.
possible some years ago.
Yeah.
You needed an expert coming to your home,
Yeah.
implementing devices, connecting some cables. It was a very special knowledge required for it. Today, there are a lot of retrofit solutions on the market available. You can make your home smart by yourself. And I think it's an interesting comparison to the mobile robots business now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because in this sense, you can automate your shop floor yourself. I think that would be a cool slogan actually for a mobile robot supplier. But it
Totally,
was
yeah.
invented by me.
Yeah, okay, we have the copyright now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stay away from the slogan.
If you want to use it, contact me.
Exactly.
We will find a solution.
Olli is open. Okay, perfect. Maybe just quickly to round off this episode, are there any arguments that would contradict our our vision of continuously falling prices?
Yes, I think there is. If we look on the current portfolio of AGVs, AMRs, a lot is already available or now in development.
Yeah.
Then this will be, at some certain maturity level available soon, hopefully. And I think then you will have, a huge effort to like arrive at the next stage of technology or new device,
Yeah.
which would require again, a longer period for research and development. So I can imagine that for getting to, let's say, version 4 of a mobile robot, or really adding, some revolutionary technology to it, or making the next step, which I also don't know what it could be, flying AGVs, whatever. This step requires a lot of effort and
Yeah.
money, and this would lead to increased prices again.
Yeah, I agree to this, especially when we take a look at the fact that those easy to handle use cases like pallet, floor to floor, and the devices or the mobile robots that are doing it today are endless. So those use cases, someday most of them will be covered, and then the industry will have to move to other use cases which are not as easily to be covered by a mobile robot, which will end in what you just described, Ollie.
Yeah, best examples are the combination of a mobile robot and cobot.
Yeah,
It's very complex.
perfect. Maybe that's also an idea for another episode to talk about these new interesting use cases and those new interesting robots that we're going to need to serve them.
Oh, for sure.
But for today, I think that's been quite a talk. Really enjoyed it as always. And I hope you guys also enjoyed it, of course. So thank you for being with us today. Hear you next Monday in episode 22. And take care. Hear you soon.
Bye-bye.
This was another episode of the Automation Awakenings podcast. Visit us at automation-awakenings.com.